it must be wonderful to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
I can't tell you of a single business right now is like, we're just going to take our time. No, they want to open right now. They want to be open today. We want to have a sale today. We want as many customers as we possibly can. Hey everybody, welcome to Comics with Bueller. As always, I'm Bueller. Today is episode 84 of the new Coffee and Comics show. And as you can see, I'm not alone. I got my good friend Bob here with me. Bob, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome, my friend. I hit 1,000 subscribers this week, so I'm feeling good.
We don't have to talk about ever again.
Ever again.
Thank you so much, everyone who found Everything Comics. That's Bob's channel. He did, like you said, hit 1,000 subscribers last week. Actually, you're well above 1,000 right now.
Yeah, I'm like just about 1,050 now.
So you don't have to worry about like going below 1,000.
Right.
Yeah, you're good. So congratulations, that's awesome. You can start to get monetized, maybe make about $3 or $4 a month.
Hey!
That's fantastic. That's the total goal, right?
Right.
Very cool. So, but as always, we start off with the coffee that we're drinking, and the coffee today is brought to you by none other than Mocha Express, the official coffee shop of Comics with Bueller. And today I'm drinking a good old hazelnut latte. It's been kind of warm here the last few days, but today it's a little cooler. So I decided to go with a hot drink today. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. Hopefully you didn't do anything to it.
I did not. Notice there's no whipped cream in it, though.
He didn't do nothing. That's good. That's good. What are you having, man?
I'm having a hazelnut cold brew, and it's really good.
Nice.
Looking at you.
Have you had more coffee today than that?
Yeah, this is like my fourth cup.
Yeah, I figured as much. Jesus. We definitely live in Oregon, don't we?
We do.
There you go. We got a great show. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got a great subject. The subject is going to be, did DC make the right decision kind of dumping Diamond? A lot of comments on that, and we'll leave a timestamp if you want to jump to that. You can go ahead and do that. But if you want to stick around and learn a little bit more about us, please do so. A few things first. Let me just cover some stuff. So we have some Bueller boxes for sale, and this is the first time in a while that I have a large quantity of Bueller boxes. A local comic shop is unfortunately going out of business. They're relocating, but they had a huge sale over the weekend, and I was able to go there and buy a bunch of books. Unfortunately, Bob didn't make it, so lucky for me, that means I just got more books, right?
That's right.
So that's pretty cool. But right now, there is 25 Bueller boxes available, and the link is down below to my eBay for you to pick them out. But let me tell you what's in them right now. We're doing something a little bit special. So there's guaranteed 2 #1 issues, guaranteed a variant in every box, guaranteed 2 independent titles, including a #1 issue, so you can start reading a brand new story. Also, there are bonus books for every box. I think 2 to 3 bonus books per box, so you'll probably get like 14 comics. And this is really cool. So there's 25 boxes, and we have the slab going in the boxes this time around. This is Action Comics #1, the facsimile 9.8. And not only that, here, hold that one. We have 2 of the slabs going out into the boxes.
Right.
So you have a 2 in 25 chance of getting this nice slab book. If you buy one of the boxes, there you go. Kind of cool, right?
That's awesome stuff.
And you can buy more than one, so you might be able to increase your odds. But once this round is gone, the 25 boxes, somebody's going to get those. And do me a favor, if you do buy a box and you get them, go ahead and post them on Instagram. Tag me, #BuellerBox or #ComicsWithBueller, so I can see what you got and see who won the Action Comics 9.8 CGCs. Like I said, the link is down below. They're on sale right now, starting right now, 5 o'clock in the morning, Monday, 25 boxes. Once they're gone, they're gone. Somebody or 2 people are going to get that slab plus a bunch of really cool books. So very cool to be able to send those out. Also, I want to say thank you to all our patrons who help support the show. We have a Patreon. It's $3.99 a month. It's the price of 1 comic book a month. If you think we provide value worth 1 comic book a month, please join our Patreon. It helps, keeps the camera rolling, the lights on, all that good stuff. And thank you once again to all our Patreons. We got about 40 members right now, and it does help out quite a bit, so thank you. Also, we are still doing Robbie's Pick. That's a new segment in the show. I'm pretty excited to show Robbie's Pick in a little bit. Last week was his first time on here, and it was really cool having the camera cut to him, and he kind of does his thing, and we talk about his book, and we're going to do it again. So it should be a lot of fun. Awesome. But let's go ahead and jump to our first 5.
Sure.
So you're up first, Bob.
Yeah, so my first one up here is a Marvel Comics Presents with good old Wolverine and Venom action. I always love that cover. Next, I brought a What If. It's What If the Phoenix Rose Again. And that cover is a callback to Days of Future Past, which I like. And then I got Iron Man number 49. Love that cover.
Some Iron Man goodness.
Yeah. And then Iron Man number 50. I got both of those books for a really good price. And then I got X-Men number 221. And you all know what that one is. That's the first appearance of Mr. Sinister.
It is?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
That's
Okay,
fine.
well, now I'm showing mine. You can take your books down
Sure.
now. See how you do that?
Yeah.
All right. So I just picked this one up. This is Iron Man 2020 number 1. I just really like the color scheme on the cover. I don't think the book itself is actually very good as far as the quality of the book. But the cover, I had to get it. It was really cheap. It was like $1. So this one I wanted to show. That Texas Blood number 1. This was actually both Bob and mine's pick of the week for last week. If you haven't checked out this book, and if you can go to your LCS, if they still got it, give it a shot. It's a new ongoing series from Image Comics, and we both really enjoyed it. Like I said, both of our pick of the week.
Yeah.
I want to show some Immortal Hulk goodness. I actually have the whole run of Immortal Hulk first print. This is number 3. These great Alex Ross covers. And I have number 5, another great Alex Ross cover. And number 9, Alex Ross cover.
Nice.
Now this series is coming to an end, right?
Now it's going to go to issue number 50, from what I understand.
50, yeah.
But we also have word that in September, Alex Ross, or not Alex Ross, but
Al Ewing?
Al Ewing will be doing the Immortal She-Hulk, which I think is pretty cool.
That's different than Immortal Hulk.
It's
though.
different than Immortal Hulk.
Yeah, whatever. But anyway, this series is ending at number 50. So it'll be nice to have all 50 of them, to be honest. And, all the Alex Ross covers are really some of the best covers that are out there.
For sure. Number 12 spiked this week. I don't know why. Have you heard about that at all?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's probably something about a Marvel character.
Probably.
I don't know. I did see the top 10 list, and I had 6 out of the 10 books on the list.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was like, what? That's never happened before. Whatever, it's all good.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and shift gears, and we're going to go ahead and have Robbie come in here and share his pick of the week.
Hey everybody, I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups from Pop Culture Philosophers. Today I'm drinking a Stumptown Cold Brew, extra bold, extra black, no sweetener. I hope you're enjoying your coffee. Hope you're enjoying the show. And my pick of the week is...
Batman the Smile Killer is Robbie's pick of the week. We actually both read this book. We really enjoyed it, just like Robbie did.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, our pick of the week was the Texas one, but this one was a very close second. I noticed right away the similarities to another Batman title as far as the premise of this book. But that being said, this is the better of the two storylines. You enjoyed this as well, right?
I did. I enjoyed it very much. I think Sorrentino is killing it when it comes to art. And I really love where they went with Batman inside of the story. And the thing I loved about it also is that you didn't have to read the Joker Killer Smile to get into this book. It kind of is a one-shot on its own. Really well done.
I was really hoping that you didn't buy this book because I was hoping I could just give it to you. I don't want to keep it's big. I don't like the big format. I almost like called you. I was like, don't buy it. You can have my copy.
Well, if you don't want it, I'll take it, but I'll give you a bag and a board so you can keep it nice.
I don't want to talk about it.
All right.
Anyway, great book. Thank you, Robbie. Looking forward to next week's pick of the week. Should be good, right?
I love his pick of the weeks.
Very much so. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into our topic of the week. And our topic, like I said, did DC make the right choice dumping Diamond and going with new distributors? A lot of people comment on this, and I wanted to do a lot of research on it so I can provide kind of a timeline of everything that had happened. So why don't I go ahead and kind of run down a little bit of research.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the show started, and this is amazing stuff here. I had no idea, so I'm excited for him to go over this.
So I just wanted to do a rundown of chain how everything works. First off, customer orders books from the shop. Shop orders books from Diamond. Diamond bulk orders from publisher. Publisher prints and sends books to Diamond. Diamond sends books to shop. Customer pays for books, that's us. Shop pays Diamond, and Diamond pays publisher. That is a basic breakdown of how the relationship between a shop, a customer, the publisher, and the distributor works. That's exactly how it works. That's how it's worked for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Diamond in 1996 kind of became the exclusive distributor for all comics. That's when all the competition kind of faded away, and that started a 25-year exclusive with DC Comics and also other publishers, but right now we're talking about DC Comics. The new distributors that have been introduced from DC include Lunar Distribution, DCBS, In-Stock Trade, Discount Comic Book Service. They got plenty of different names, but right now they're referred to as Lunar. And the other one is UCS, that is also Midtown Comics. Originally, for those two distributors, it was going to be the East Coast. The Midtown would take care of that, and Lunar would do the West. But right now, from what I understand, you can choose either of those as your option. But obviously, if you're on the West Coast, you're going to want to have a West Coast distributor shipping your books and not all the way from the East Coast. Just makes sense.
Sure.
Let me run down the timeline really fast. About 18 months ago to 2 years ago, DC renegotiated their contract to have a 60-day opt-out clause from Diamond. At that time, DC informs Diamond that they should update some of their procedures. There's a surge in the comic book industry. Diamond, for the most part, has been pretty stagnant for the last 20 some odd years. They haven't updated shipping too much, like procedures, how they put out their books, a whole bunch of stuff that DC would like to see happen. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff didn't happen. On March 23rd, Diamond shuts down. Obviously, that's because of the pandemic. They withhold payment to the publishers, informs them that they can only pay 25% over the next 6 weeks, and spread out the rest of the payment over the next quarter. On March 28th, just about 5 days later, DC announces they are looking into other means to distribute comics, which are Lunar and the UCS. On April 28th, DC Comics are delivered to shops from new distributors, the Lunar and UCS. On June 5th, now that's just a little over 60 days from when they informed DC, DC terminates contract with Diamond, informs shops that June 1st was the last order. And that's when all hell breaks loose.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
Pretty much it.
But that is the timeline of events, and that's kind of what we're on right now. Like I said, DC has terminated all their services with Diamond. There is more to it. Everyone kind of referred to it as it being a knee-jerk reaction from DC. It wasn't. It was something that DC has been thinking about doing for a while, and this just posed an opportunity for them to do it, and they took an advantage to do so, to go with different distributors, have different options in case one option isn't available, which exactly is what happened. It's exactly what happened. Diamond shut down. They could not pay the publishers, and DC's sitting there like, what do we do? We're in a corner. We need to do something. And so they didn't hesitate to pull the trigger and go in a different direction. And honestly, my hat's off to them for doing that. They probably made the right choice, and who knows in the long run what that means. But you know what? If you're stagnant and if you don't do anything and you just kind of accept things for what they are, you might get passed by. And it sounds like the more research I do, DC wasn't going to let that happen. Those are some of the things. There's more stuff I want to get into, but let's go ahead and jump to the comments. And Bob, you are up first.
Sure. And so our first comment comes from Hermanio Reyes. Hermanio, how you doing, brother? He says, I think DC wanted out a long time ago and was looking for the right time to split. Once Diamond shut down, they took that opportunity, even if they knew they would get a backlash, which they did. I think they maybe did the right thing for them, but just at the wrong time. In saying that, I have gone around the LCSs around me, and some are happy with getting their DC books and mad at Marvel for still being bi-weekly, even though they were upset with DC leaving Diamond. So which one is it? The one thing I do believe is that print is still alive even after everything and will stay alive for a long while. Thanks, Hermanio.
I'm happy to be able to read the comment from his. So a lot of times his comments come in a little bit late.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he got it in there because I really wanted to read his.
For sure.
But one thing, let's talk about the timing. We kind of hit on that a little bit in the very beginning. Like I said, this has been in the works for a while. This is something that AT&T, who is the owner of DC Comics or whatever and a bunch of other stuff, but they acquired them back in 2018. They like to have multiple options for distribution, not just one and putting all your eggs in one basket. So for AT&T, as far as a company goes, they like to have that option. DC then looked at adopting that option to have more than one option for distribution of their comics, which makes total sense. Because like I said, if something goes down, you're stuck. Yeah. There's nothing you can do. The timing of it actually makes sense, okay? Because here's the thing. If you go cold turkey and say, hey, we're going to stop using Diamond, and say this happened last year, and then we're going to start using someone else, there's going to be a disruption in service. So it's going to take a little while for them, the new companies, to get on board and to handle the volume, all that stuff. This gave them an opportunity to where, you know what, there is going to be a disruption. Not caused by that, it's caused by what's going on in the world today. And so then we can get things on board and get things ticking and go from there. And that way it'll seem like we didn't lose a step. And so the timing actually worked out perfectly for them. It's unfortunate why that timing is,
sure,
and what that's from, but it worked out very well for DC in the long run.
Yeah, I think you're right. One of the things that kind of grabs me is that I know because of how businesses work, you have an invoicing time frame. And one of the things that Diamond did that would have made me mad as a publisher is the fact that when the whole pandemic hit, they went their own way as far as how they were going to pay back, what they owed.
Yeah.
And so, when it comes to looking at timing, I think that you're right. DC had this in the works for a while, and they knew that they were going to be doing something like this.
Yeah.
And the time was just right for it to happen. I think them not getting paid was the first switch to say, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah, I agree. It was totally because, I mean, if that phone call doesn't come from Steve Jeppy and say, hey, we can't pay you guys.
Right.
We're sorry. Then we're having a different conversation.
Right.
But the simple fact that that phone call comes, and so quickly, that's the thing that got them probably worried. It's like, this is just happening, and they already cannot pay us.
Right.
I mean, not like a couple weeks down the road, after things kind of form a little bit. It's like, it's happening right now. We can't pay you right now.
Right.
We're not giving you a notice. We cannot pay you next week.
Right.
And that's what it was. And it goes to the question, how healthy is Diamond if they can't pay within a week's notice?
Right. Well, we've talked about this before, that, Diamond was, surviving on bare minimum margins. But the thing I think was the telling factor. You mentioned earlier that, they reached out and said, we can't pay you.
Yeah.
I think that's bullcrap. I think that they could pay them. I think that because of the fact that they had a monopoly, that they went their own way. They said, we're only going to be paying you back 10% of what we owe for the next 3 months or however long it's going to be until we open back up again. And that's crap, because bottom line is invoicing happens within the comic industry 6 weeks out. So the money that they weren't going to get that week was stuff that was paid already from 6 weeks out. It didn't have to do with money that week. And so if I was DC, I would have been pissed. I'd have been like, you're not going to dictate that to me.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to timing, I think the only thing that really is a telltale in timing, everybody looks at the fact that when DC, announced this. No, I think it was more timing when DC announced that they were going to start distributing books. I don't think Diamond was going to be doing anything with comic books going forward until about August or September.
Yeah.
And as soon as DC mentioned we're going to be distributing books, that's when Diamond opened back up again.
Yeah, I think it definitely helped kickstart them to say, oh, wait a minute.
Absolutely.
And it's obviously the phone call.
Right.
All right, I got the next one here, and this is from Connor Carruthers, I believe. It says, that was the dumbest decision ever made by DC. They totally effed up over comic shops outside of the U.S. Many comic book shops outside of the U.S. now don't carry DC titles or only get in new DC books once every month or 2 months to save on the insane shipping costs. This decision may have been okay for many shops in the States, but DC seems to not care about comic shops in Canada or in other continents. Here's the thing. You guys got screwed.
Yeah, you did.
That's the bottom line. I mean, here, I hope in the future that these new distributors can adopt an international shipping. They're working on it, but it's going to take some time. And unfortunately, if you're outside of the United States right now, and I think they're doing a little bit with Diamond UK or something, the distributing DC books. I don't know exactly all the details, but they're trying to do something at least. But for the most part, if you're outside of the United States, you just got screwed.
Yeah.
And for one, whether it starts up again and the Lunar or DCS or whatever starts shipping internationally, that's double shipping cost because they're getting 2 separate boxes from 2 different places. They're getting their Diamond shipment and they're getting their DC shipment from 2 more. So that's more shipping cost. And there was a lot of international comments on this. I mean, this is just, there were some really long ones I really enjoyed, but they were so long I couldn't read them. But Connor really kind of summed it all up.
Yeah.
I wish I had a better response for the international market. But right now, as it's going, it's really unfortunate, and we should be considered pretty lucky that we're still getting some books in the United States, and we don't really see that interruption. We're still paying cover price, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'll have to say I do have to apologize to all my international friends because until this conversation came up, I didn't even think about how you guys were being affected inside of this. One of the things that I know for a distributor that's hard to navigate, especially when they're first starting out, is understanding what it's going to be to ship internationally. You have to pay taxes and duties for international shipments, and sometimes those can be some pretty exorbitant rates. And so, like Bueller just said, it probably will take some time before they get that online and taken care of because they have to negotiate that. I mean, with Diamond, they've been doing it for a while, and they ship in bulk, and so they're pretty much lumping everything all together. And so the Diamond, so the DC shipments between the 2 new distributors, I would pretty much guarantee are not going to be as large as shipments as what Diamond was shipping. So they're probably not getting any breaks on that whatsoever. And so it's going to take a while. So I do apologize that you guys are having to go through that. I was just lucky to have my books. I didn't even think about you guys, so I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, the international comic collecting family is just getting the short end of the stick on this one. So I got the next one as well. This is from Copy 801. It says, yes, I believe that DC made the right choice. Diamond was sending a lot of damaged books. Since they were a monopoly, quality was not really a concern. After all, who else is going to send out your books? Under the new distributors, books are being sent much more securely with far fewer damages. This means that businesses have a better chance of turning a profit on those books instead of just getting credit. Currently, retailers are having some issues with the ordering under the new system, but this just began. With anything new, there are growing pains. Hopefully, lessons will be learned on that front. There's going to be issues with transition.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And I've heard a lot. I've actually seen the Lunar ordering system. A friend of mine showed it to me at a comic shop. It's pretty basic, and it's surprisingly basic how it looked. And he had mentioned to me that he accidentally mistyped an order, and he put a quantity of 5 for a certain book when it should have been 1. There was no edit key to go back and fix it, and to go back and just go back in that box and change it to 1. So he had to actually call them and say, hey, we don't need 5 of this book, we only need 1. And their response was, well, we'll take care of it, we got it. But there's there's currently no system just to change it right there. So if you enter in that number, that's it. It's solid. So there's little issues like that. He also mentioned shipping. From what I understand, Lunar does a great job shipping.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
I've heard nothing but really good things.
They double wrap them and bubble wrap them and things like that.
Yeah. On the other hand, the Midtown, which is I got to get these names right. UCS is very similar to what Diamond ships as far as the quality of shipping. That's what I've heard from comic shops on the East Coast who have been using them. Very similar. I almost can't even tell a difference between it. But Lunar, on the other hand, they're doing the extra mile. They're shipping really well. It looks nice. Maybe this is the standard of how books should be shipped going forward. So that's a positive right there.
Yeah.
But there are going to be those growing pains. Just the simple fact of customer service.
Sure.
Handling these large accounts, with these new distributors. Do they have the personnel in line to do that? I mean, just give you an example. Diamond laid off over 500 people, at one of their facilities or whatnot because of this, or furloughed those 500 people. Does Lunar in the Midtown have a staff of that many?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I mean, for one, they're not handling multiple huge accounts. It's just right now it's just DC. Okay,
Yeah.
But that goes into the question: what if others follow? Okay, what if Marvel follows suit? What if Image follows suit? and goes with other publishers. I don't know what's in their contract. Maybe they don't have a opt-out clause. Maybe they just have to wait until the new contract comes up and they renegotiate, or they dump them altogether. Right. If that is the case, and these other publishers follow suit, does Lunar have the capacity to handle that many books? Does Midtown or whatever have the capacity to handle all these books? Do they have the people in place to do it? Time will tell on that.
Right.
And we're getting a nice kind of sampling with how DC books are being distributed right now. For the most part, I think it's pretty consistent. I haven't heard a lot of people saying, I didn't get my Lunar shipment.
Right.
It's only been a few weeks, so let's give it some time. Let's give it a few months before we can kind of go back on that and see if there is a difference. But it's been pretty positive right now.
Right.
So that's what I got to say.
Yeah. When it comes to transition, there's always going to be pains. I would venture to say that DC may have had this as an idea in the works for a while. They probably had engaged UCS and or whatever the other one is, Lunar, for a while, and told them, to get systems together to be able to handle this. Yeah. And it just so happens because of the pandemic, they pulled the trigger on it and said, we're doing this. And so it doesn't surprise me that you'd see order systems being bare minimum basic and things like that, just to get the ball rolling. And of course, later on, usually you'll have things roll out and improvements made over time. But I think because of how quickly this was done, you're going to have some growing pains and probably a little more than you normally would because they pulled it sooner than they were expecting.
Yeah. All right, Bob, you got the next one from Ryan, it looks like.
All right, Ryan, thank you for the comment. He says, I do believe that comic companies should seek to diversify their distribution channels. Competition breeds excellence, as they say. However, I think DC dumping Diamond was rushed. It leaves many comic stores scrambling to set up new accounts. My main LCS has been shorted due to the abrupt change. I talked to another shop that is going to stop carrying DC altogether since the new companies are competitors and they also don't have a way to integrate the new order system with their inventory system. Speaking of orders, I also don't have a way to tell my LCS what I want from DC now. With Diamond and the previews catalog, I go through what's going to come out and select things like specific covers or a one-off issue from a series. That is not currently an option, so now my LCS has to do more guesswork with the orders. Like I said, I think adding more distribution methods is great, but there's just too many pitfalls at the moment due to being rushed.
So he's right about the previews thing. Obviously, the previews and Diamond are together. Okay. From what I understand, DC is going to be putting out their own previews.
They actually already have.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's only going to be digital.
Right.
There no longer is the little magazine at your LCS with the DC books going to be there. They're just putting out a digital copy of that. He mentioned about some stores, we're not going to carry DC anymore.
Right.
I think that'll only last for a little while.
I think so too.
To be totally honest. I mean, here's the reason. Not only is it 30% of Diamond's business, but that's a percentage of your LCS's business.
Absolutely.
And are they willing to give that up?
Right.
Or can they afford to give it? Can they afford to not carry DC books? No.
That's the point right there. No, they can't afford to.
Can you afford not to have Batman 92? And the sales that's bringing, or I'm just going to use that example. Say there's another book 2 months from now that has that buildup of 92, what Batman did. Is a comic shop going to be like, we're not going to carry it?
Yeah.
Even though I can just order it, or whatnot. And he brings out the competition as far as the other distributors are also retailers. I agree with that, but the more I think about it, who else would be able to handle this type thing other than big retailers like that? The only other one I can think of is Amazon, and the last thing I want them doing is books coming through Amazon because there would be no LCSs whatsoever.
Right.
So I understand the whole competition and maybe a conflict of interest, but eventually, and I've gone back and forth on this. I'm flip-flopping on my thoughts on this. Eventually, it is what it is, and as long as your LCS is getting a decent discount on their books, and we'll actually hit on that a little bit later, and they're getting those books, and because the street dates are the same. It's not like Midtown can sell a book before, or the Lunar can sell a book before, or whatever their retail chain. The street dates are all the same. It's Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever they're doing now. The new Tuesday thing. They can't sell it before. So it's a little, I don't think that shops are going to stick to that model. We're not going to carry DC anymore. I think that's a knee-jerk reaction. And then after everything kind of calms down, they're like, we kind of have to carry DC comics.
Right. Well, I mean, I think the fallout from that is much larger than just losing 30% of their total business with the DC stuff. Because let's face it, comic collectors are creatures of habit.
Yeah.
If you're not going to carry DC books, but this shop over here is carrying
Sure.
DC books, guess where I'm going to get all my books from?
Exactly.
And you're going to lose a lot more than just 30% of your business. So you're right. I don't think it's going to last for very long.
Yeah.
But I will say that I really hope that this starts breeding more distribution channels into different places. I would love to see books back inside of drugstores again, or the local 7-Eleven again,
Yeah.
or places where kids can pick them up and they don't have to go into a specialty shop. You have much more of a chance of being able to spread this hobby out. So I'm hoping that as a result of this, that more channels are come about.
Or more channels just become available to them.
Right.
And they're not limited to just comic shops or just what Diamond says that they can do.
Right.
Another thing on here real quick, there is some very large and long-lasting relationships that comic shops have with Diamond.
Sure.
We're talking 30 years of loyalty with Diamond, okay? And a lot of these reactions are because they know their Diamond rep. They've been on the phone with them every week for the last 30 years. And those ties are very long.
Right.
And Diamond is very well known for floating accounts. This comic shop can't pay. You know what? Get us next time.
Right.
That goes a long way.
It does.
I mean, that's loyalty right there. And that's why there were so many comic shops that were upset, because they have a certain loyalty to Diamond because they've been there with all the crap that Diamond gets. And the books are damaged, there is someone on the other end of that phone when they're talking to someone. And for the most part, after 30 years, like I said, they form a relationship with that person or with that rep. And they care about them. They want them to succeed and stuff like that. Even though their books might be damaged every now and then, because that does happen, that doesn't mean that they're not loyal to them as well. Because like I said, Diamond has taken care of comic shops in the past. Certain areas of shipments from certain parts of the country ship better, and there's really no problem with shipping, and no problem at all with Diamond. And it's kind of 50-50 split. So I think a lot of it was the knee-jerk reaction. Hey, they're giving my friend a hard time.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone is. And so I think once things settle down, I think we're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I would like to check into that one, because I know that they do have relationships with some shops, but from what I understand, for the longest time, most shops have had just a relationship through their ordering program, and that's it. And so there has not been a relationship. And I think
they do.
There's some, I know.
They do. I'll tell you this. I actually got to see this firsthand when I went to Comics Pro here.
That's right,
because Diamond was there, and all the comic shops. Okay, and Diamond had a nice presence there, and this is right before everything shut down.
Sure.
And they had their representatives and stuff. And I kid you not, almost every comic shop knew who they were.
That's awesome.
I mean, they knew that's Rosie. That's who I talked to on the West Coast. That's who I talked to on this, and they're all going up to, oh, how you doing? And it's like, it was literally like they have been family for years, and they just haven't seen each other until the reunion.
Right.
And it kind of put a face on that, and because there was quite a few. So I think that these relationships are, and not to mention, and the more I dig into this, I mean, there's people in Diamond that are part of the Comics Pro. And that's a tight union. Okay, there's people who are part of the Comics Pro, and now work for Diamond. Okay, and these people are all part of this It's all. If I want to say union, it's similar to that. A little bit. I mean, you're familiar with Comics Pro.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a union of comic shops. They're all together. I don't know. They pay dues, all that good stuff, and they're kind of all lumped together. And there's kind of a, I don't want to say nepotism, but there's a little bit of insider, stuff going on with the people who are involved and the people who are working at other companies. And with Diamond, they all kind of stick together. And if one person gets hammered, everyone else reacts.
Yeah.
And the more I dug into that, the more I'm like, oh, this guy is the CEO of this, and now he's at Diamond. Or this guy does this at Comics Pro, and now he's at Diamond. These are their buddies. These are their friends.
Right.
There's a lot of that.
Interesting.
There's a lot of outcry because of that. So.
Right. I just going off of, a lot of the things I was reading, they talked about the fact that the ordering system was the only face that they ever had. So that's why I said that.
Cool beans. All right. I think you're up next.
Sure.
I did a lot of research on that.
You did, man. This one comes from Eric Strobel. Eric, he's a good friend of the show. Thank you very much for the comment. He says, hey guys, so about DC and Diamond, it's a tough one. It's good in the sense that we shop owners now have options, but do we? The chosen alternative distributors are chock full of issues themselves, which is a subject for another day. But in effect, what DC has done is that they have taken the monopoly on distribution from Diamond and they gave it to another company. It hasn't solved anything, only shifted issues. I would have liked to have seen them keep both Diamond and the new distributor as to create a competition and thus improving the need for service and fair pricing. It's a great point.
I said to you earlier, DC doesn't care about a monopoly.
Right.
They care less who the monopoly is. Okay. Bottom line is, does the people we use going to pay us? If they're not going to pay us, then what do we do?
Right.
So whether it's Lunar or Midtown or Diamond, I don't think they care who the monopoly is or whether there is a monopoly.
Right.
It's whether is the company we're associated with, are they healthy enough to pay their bills when they should? They weren't.
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line. I think you're absolutely correct on that. And as long as they got somebody bringing that revenue stream in, what do they care?
Yeah. So now we do have competition now. Lunar and Midtown. I keep saying Midtown, even though it's it is Midtown, but it's UC. We should have this written down somewhere. It's UCS. So Lunar and UCS are in essential. They're competing against each other. They're not the same company.
Right.
They're both doing the same thing. And they're competition, so they can keep each other in check. Like I just said earlier, Lunar shipping has been really good. People said some good things about it. The shipping from the Midtown, which is I still can't do it. UCS hasn't really been up to par. It hasn't really changed much from Diamond. So we'll see if they step up, and take the challenge. And then we also still have Diamond. So now you have 3 distributors in there.
Right, but I would agree that at this particular point, there's no competition between Diamond and those other places because DC Books is what the commodity is, and they're not competing against each other on that. Diamond's been cut out of the picture.
Yeah.
So you have a competition between the West Coast and the East Coast distributor now that people can choose which one that they want, and that's great. But I think competition will come if these other distributors are allowed to ship Image Books or Marvel Books or any other independents, and so that's what I'm kind of interested in is. Are they going to start, doing the sales type thing of going to these different publishers and saying, "Hey, we have these distribution channels. We'd like you to try us out."
Yeah.
And time will tell if they're going to do that.
Yeah. All right, I got the next one here. This is from Mike W. Rogers. He was my very first Patreon.
Oh, right on.
Oh, that's cool. It says DC feels like a conglomerate of companies and not a cohesive force. I honestly think AT&T is dumping DC and selling them off piece by piece until only the IP is left and they can sell that to whoever wants to make a coffee cup forever and ever. Random House, I believe, will have control over printing and distribution and may move to push DC Comics out of the comic store and back into the stores like Barnes & Noble in Collector's Edition. And if they had any sense at all, spinner racks in grocery store and pharmacies. So Mike kind of hit on the simple fact that you want to see all the books everywhere, at pharmacies, grocery stores, and stuff like that. And I agree. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know if they would sell, to be totally honest. Because I think that the whole, Mom, can I get 50 cents to buy a book? Now it's like, can I get $5?
Right.
To buy a book or something like that when they could take the $5. I don't know. I could be wrong. I might be way off base on that. But let's talk about AT&T a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. AT&T, they own DC. They bought it when they bought Time Warner. Now, a simple fact that you guys should be aware of, they chose to buy DC Comics. When they bought Time Warner, they could actually go in and say, this is what we want, this is what we don't want, this is what we want. They chose to buy DC Comics, DC Publishing, okay? So they wanted them. They wanted them as part. Now, really, they wanted the the characters.
Right.
They wanted what's associated to the characters themselves. We were talking before this started. Recently, they just sold off the video game division of Warner Brothers, whatever that is, which includes DC licensed video games and stuff. Big dollar amount. It's like $4 or $5 billion. I don't know. They're in debt. Okay, they have some bills coming up. They got to pay it. That's just the way business is. That's $5 billion. The DC Comics, the actual publishing themselves, is like a penny, a drop in the bucket. I mean, it generates like $130 million is in revenue. That's it. I mean, it's so insignificant that whether it's losing or making money, it doesn't make any difference to AT&T. It doesn't make a difference to them whatsoever. Like I said, this is after research and me looking this up. What does make a difference to them is the properties themselves, okay? Even if they licensed out the comics to someone else to publish them, it doesn't make a difference. It's such a little thing. It's not worth them to even license them out or even to get rid of them because they want the characters. They want to control the characters. Say they were to license out the comics and all of a sudden they license out Batman and they kill Batman. Let's just say Marvel gets it and they issue 102, Batman dies. They don't want Batman dying.
No.
You know, I'm just throwing that out there, okay? It's such a little percentage that it's not even significant to AT&T whatsoever. What's important to them is the characters themselves, what they can do with them. What I do see doing is I don't think they care about the publishing aspect. I don't think they care whether they're physical media. I don't think they care whether they're digital media. They could care less.
Or just putting them all in trades.
Yeah, or just putting them all in trades, exactly. Or digital and then two trades down the line. The people at publishing for DC, that's another story. I mean, they work there.
Yeah.
They're comic creators. There's other stuff going on. But let's just kind of run down DC really fast and tell you what they're doing. Mm-hmm. We all know that DC had dollar books. Okay, they were putting out individual $1 issues. Okay, those got canceled.
Yep.
They also canceled the facsimiles. Okay, they got rid of those. They were doing those for a while. I liked them, and stuff like that.
They were cool.
They were also canceled the Walmart exclusive, thick 100-page books. Now, why did they do that? Okay, and I did some research.
There we go. Here we go.
One of the things that the dollar books and the facsimiles have in common, there are no ads in those. They're facsimiles, they're dollars, so they don't put actual ads in the book. That's part of the revenue that DC Publishing makes as they sell advertisements for the book. Facsimiles are exactly what they are. They're facsimiles, so the ads you see in that book are actually the ads from the 50s or whatever. They're not legitimate ads. That's why they canceled those, because they're not getting any ad revenue from those books.
Interesting.
The Walmart books themselves, okay, which great they were selling, what they had to do is they had to make a brand new book. They had to license a creator to make a new story because they had existing stories and there was usually like a brand new story in that book. Mm-hmm. So there was some cost involved. So they eliminated those. What was their option? What'd they go to?
They went to making little packs of stuff that was already in the warehouses at Diamond.
Exactly.
Right?
They took back issues that they still have and they said, why don't we just use these? That's a lot cheaper than making a brand new book.
Right.
Or having a creator do the art or do the story. So they're just doing the packs, which I love the packs. Yeah. I grew up on those packs.
I grew up on them too.
Yeah. So that is a cost-cutting measure that they're doing. One other thing that they're doing, they're obviously looking into the digital side of things. The DC Digital First is a big thing. And Dan DiDio, did I say that right? DiDio. He's no longer there. But he has said many times, it doesn't matter how they get distributed as long as they get distributed in a certain way. And that's referring to physical and digital. It doesn't matter to them how they get out as long as they get out. So DC is adopting a digital first strategy right now. Just last night or the day before, there's the new Harley Quinn book. That's all digital. And what they're doing is
digital first. They're
releasing 10 pages, 99 cents a week. And then you go to the next 10 pages, 99 cents. Next 10 pages, 99 cents. I'm pretty sure it's coming out once a week, every week. and that is their digital first format. Eventually, that will be collected into a trade or hardcover or whatever you want to do. But the thing they are skipping over is the weekly or bi-weekly books that come out for that market. They did the same thing similar to that Deceased tie-in, and which kind of came out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
And they just put it out digital. That was their number one selling book last year, Deceased. Number one selling book that they had. And they decided to not make a physical copy of the storyline and just do digital.
Well, they are. The printed format is going to be coming out here, like, I think in a month or two, and they're collecting the whole thing.
Yeah, in the trade.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm talking about single issue. Trades are a whole nother story.
Yeah.
And like I said before on trades, the things why they like trades, it's not a limited print run. Yep. They just keep printing them. They're sold out, they print more.
For some reason, I think they're coming out with floppies on it as well. I'll have to check on that, but I'm pretty sure I saw the solicitations for it that they're going to be bringing it out in floppies as well. But bottom line is that you're right. It came out of the blue. I think they're testing the waters. I think it was it Hermione that said that he thinks the printed ones are going to be coming out, for a long time. I think this is something to watch out for. We've talked, before about, we don't want it to go all digital. But this is them testing the waters, because let's face it, if a comic company can go with all digital, they'll do it.
Yeah.
They've been wanting to do it for a long time.
Yeah.
So
here's the thing, and I mean, I'm getting off on a tangent on this, and I was really looking forward to talking about this.
I know. Hey, before you go on,
yeah.
If you guys have liked what Bueller has done on this episode, in the comments, leave a hashtag Professor Bueller, because I think he's done an amazing job. I've learned a bunch of stuff on this episode. I think it's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So the bottom line, is AT&T going to sell or license DC Comics? No. It's not. I mean, it's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But the more I research it, and the more I learn how insignificant it was, and how even if they were to sell it or license it out, it doesn't really make a difference. Yeah. If it was a big dollar amount that they could make from it, yeah, they would do it. But it's such a small dollar amount, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Like I said, the more likely thing they would do is just stop publishing physical copies and go to a digital format. The one thing I like about DC and what they're doing is they're being proactive. They're trying all these different measures to push up their brand. Like, what do we do? We're not just going to sit back and just accept it. Let me talk about Marvel.
Here we go.
Okay? All this goes down, okay, and everything gets shut down. Marvel sits on their hands.
Zippo.
And nothing. I mean, they didn't say a word, okay? And you know why? Because they were okay with it. It's also, this sounds horrible, but would you be okay with it? Wouldn't you want to, I need to find another option. This is not going to work. I don't want to have to lay off people. I don't want to have to do this. Maybe there's another option available. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. I don't know the correct answer. But the simple fact that they did nothing and they were okay with it, okay? And even right now, the comics are still coming out. They're taking their time.
They're very much taking their time.
They're taking their time. They're like, we're in no hurry. We're good. It must be wonderful to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
I can't tell you of a single business right now that's like, we're just going to take our time. No, they want to open right now. They want to be open today. We want to have a sale today. We want as many customers as we possibly can. It's not what Marvel's doing.
No.
I love Marvel. I love them.
Too.
Okay, but 5 books, in 3 weeks, or whatever. I don't know. Come on, give me a break. And I need some more variants. I mean, I don't know. Whatever.
Right. I don't know. I think when it comes to Marvel, it looks like they're doing nothing. I think we're going to find out some things soon. I think the bottle's going to drop here soon. Yeah. The shoe's going to drop here pretty soon. Whatever that thing is, I don't think Marvel has been as dormant as we think they have been. But you're right. I mean, they have done nothing up until this point.
I mean, from what I understand, and this is a little inside information, I mean, they've just recently got allowed back in the offices.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking like within the last week, they actually went back to the offices in New York, wherever it is.
In LA.
Or in LA, yeah. It's just, it's when you see everything that DC's like proactive and stuff, and I'm not a huge DC fan, but what they're doing is they're looking at every avenue to keep their business afloat. The business is going to be afloat. They're not by themselves. Like I said, they're part of AT&T, so there's a lot of money involved. But the DC Publishing is looking at We have to go and tell the board of directors at AT&T what we are doing to keep things going, and they are doing as much as they can to say, hey, even though this happened, this is what we're doing. We're cutting this. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
That goes a long way.
I think it does.
And so I got a tip of the hat to them after this.
Even the stuff that did last year, I mean, they were doing a lot of cutting of costs. Now they're looking at ways to drive their business in other avenues.
Yeah.
So you have to take hats off to them.
Yep. All right, Bob, you're up next, man. That one went.
It's all right. Last one comes from.
This is gonna be a long video. If you're still with us, thank you so much.
Last one comes from Derek Magnus, friend of the show. He says, "I think they made the right decision, but timing was bad. It was like ripping the duct tape off a flesh wound for the LCSs. As a consumer, though, I just want my comics. As a retailer, I've heard the profit margins are down, which really hurt them."
So I wanted to read that because he hits on the comic shop, he hits on us as a consumer, Diamond, all that stuff. And let me just kind of run down the pros and cons of what I've been able to find out. And I got them written down here. The pros and cons of what just went down. This is the pros and cons for DC. They have a healthier distributor that can pay their bills in time. Mm-hmm. That's really important to have. Obviously, we've seen that. Pro, they have options. It's always nice to have options. They can present to the board of directors, hey, if something happens here, we go here, or we go back to Diamond. And the door to Diamond is not closed.
Yeah.
Okay? There's always a chance to renegotiate for Diamond.
There's always a chance.
And have 3 distributors. You never know. Like I said before, they are proactive. They're looking at different options. They're ahead of the game. Here is the cons. All right. The crippled international availability.
Yeah.
We hit that a little bit. I wish I had a better answer for it. Things are becoming more clear, but you know what? Our international comic fans are really struggling right now.
Absolutely.
Con is you get the initial resentment from comic shops themselves. We hit on that a little bit. I think as time goes on, that resentment kind of fades, and they realize, hey, we still need our DC books, and then 6 months from now, it's business as usual type thing. Con also is there's going to be growing pains. Growing pains with a new distributor. Are they able to handle the load of comics? Now, luckily, DC cut back on their publications a while ago. They trimmed some of the fat off their line. They trimmed even more fat because they dumped some titles. And so it's not like these new distributors are handling a lot of books. I mean, they are, but in comparison to, say, Marvel and how many titles they put out a month, it's not even close. So it's a little bit easier to handle. Let me go to the pros and cons for the shops. Pros, books are still available. Okay, you can still get your books, and you were actually able to get your books from DC before anyone else was.
Yeah.
Even though, like, the first shipment was literally 2 reprints and a couple other ones. Next pro is the shipping is better from Lunar. That's one thing that's been talked about. We've all heard that. We've all heard the books were damaged and stuff. I think the shipping, the process from Lunar is really good. It sounds like the Midtown needs some work, but I think they'll probably step up as well. And this is something that should have been addressed 15, 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
Why it hasn't, it doesn't make any sense. Some cons, and this is a big one. The con is the uncertain future for Diamond.
Yeah.
And that's a big one because 30% of their business is gone in one day. And that's a big chunk of your business.
It's a big one.
So the good news is, we talked about this on another episode, who steps up, who takes up the slack if Diamond goes under? Well, guess what? We got 2 people right now that could possibly do it. And they're getting their feet wet with DC. If they're successful with this DC, and maybe Boom Studios comes to them and says, hey, we're going to go with you, and they take Boom, they're good to go. Image Comics, Marvel, dominoes fall, and these people are able to ramp up their procedures and everything. And luckily, hopefully, it turns out just fine. The bad news is, like I said, uncertainty for Diamond, uncertainty for the comic shops who have those relationships with Diamond, which includes their discount, for one. They get a nice discount from Diamond. From what I understand, the discounts are close, but they were getting a better deal from Diamond. And I think that also has a lot to do with just how long they've been with them as well and how big their orders are. So they're probably losing a little bit of money on going through a new distributor. Another con is the shipping cost. They have to pay more shipping because now they have 2 different shipments coming in. They're not lumped together. So not only do they have to pay for shipping from Diamond, then they have to also pay for shipping from Lunar or Midtown. Another one is just the growing pains that they have to encounter with these new distributors learning how to do the process. We had some examples earlier in the video, how you can edit your order, or is somebody going to pick up on the other line, or just the interface that you're using. Is it as good as it should be? Is it showing the books that I should be able to order? I don't know. It's all has to do with just growing pains that they have. The software issues, that's part of the growing pains as well. Is the interface easy to use? Will it get better in time? I hope so.
I hope so.
Another con is, and like I said before, these distributors are other retailers. Are you giving money to another competition? In a sense, you are. A lot of comic shops probably aren't okay with that, and I totally get that. But when you're optioned to get books, and you have customers that want your books, unfortunately, that's kind of where you need to go. And there's really no way around that. And it's a topic I wanted to get into, but really wouldn't do any good.
Yeah.
To be honest, it kind of is what it is. They're selling retail as well. Do I think they'll stop doing retail? No. So I don't know. And then the other thing is, and this is a con, DC is looking at other options. They are looking at putting books in Walmart, like just the old back issues. They might be looking at putting stuff in, drugstores,
right,
or grocery stores. That we think that's great.
We think it's great. I know the LCSs don't think it's great.
Yeah, LCSs might be like, oh, I don't want another option.
Right, exactly.
We want to be the option.
Sure.
So those are the cons for that. Let me go on to the next one is the pros and cons for Diamond. And honestly, they're all cons.
Wow.
There's no pros to this. Mm-hmm. Diamond does not come out a winner at all. They just got their ass handed to them. I'm sorry to say that, but that is the case. Nobody can sit here and say it's good for Diamond that they lost 30% of their business. Yeah. It's not. It's all cons. 30% of their business is gone just like that. Will others follow? That is an option. It wasn't an option before.
Right, exactly.
That's got to scare you. That's got to scare Diamond. Marvel will have the option at some time. Image will have the option at some time. That is a con. Another con. Can they continue their business practice, the way they do business? Can they still float stores? Can they afford to float the comic shop that can't pay their bills anymore?
I don't think they're going to have the ability to.
Exactly. They probably can't. What does that mean to a comic shop? It's a ripple effect,
yeah.
Okay? So I mean, it's deep. When you look at this, it's such a big thing that just happened. I mean, these are just sums. The pros and cons for us, all of the above.
Yeah.
Everything I listed is a pro and con for us.
Yeah.
It affects us, okay? We want our books, but all of this affects our comic shop. It affects our distributor. It affects our publisher. It affects us. You name it. Everything I listed, it affects us.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we're usually the last ones on the totem pole that are thought of. We're thought of last, to tell you the truth, when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, I think of you first.
What's that?
I think of you first.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, there you go.
Professor Bueller, everybody. That was awesome, dude.
Yeah, so that was a lot of research, and you know what? A lot of it is actual fact that I was able to find. A lot of it is opinion as well.
Yeah.
And, I tried to put my own spin and try to look at it from outside the box and not take anything personal. Because my personal response when I saw this was, oh man, that sucks that DC did that. And that was my knee-jerk reaction. And then I did a little bit of digging. And I was like, well, that makes sense. I didn't know about that. Okay, that makes sense too. And when you do that, and you don't judge a book by its cover, and you do some time and you look into it, you find out a lot more.
Absolutely.
And that's what the case was. And that's why I wanted to pose this question. Do me a favor, leave a comment down below if you enjoyed this conversation that we have. Bob is still here.
I'm still here.
He's just kind of like, okay.
I've been enjoying my coffee.
There you go. But this has been a great conversation, and maybe something we revisit I never know. Maybe we'll revisit a topic from last week sometime.
I sure hope we do.
We're going to. I don't know when, but I think next week we got to do something a little bit more positive.
There we go.
We're just like, why do you love comics?
Right.
Come on, give me a break. So anyway, let's switch gears and get to our final 5.
Sounds good to me.
Okay? And go ahead, Bob.
Sure thing. So I figured I would bring some of my newer Shannon Mayer covers in. I recently picked up, and here's one of his earlier works from Grimm Fairy Tales Wonderland. Nice. And then he did Critter number 13, a cover for Critter number 13. This was the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive variant, which is really nice.
You're so gentle when you put those
I know. And then we have his X23 variant. I talked about this with him in the interview that we did, how we used both the warm and the soft colors, or cool colors. Here's his Venom 25 cover, which is amazing.
Ooh.
And then probably one of my favorite covers that he did.
I love that one.
The Ghost Spider cover.
Love it.
There you go.
That's probably my favorite.
Yeah. I think the Catwoman is my favorite, but I get that one this week.
Yeah, that one, and I like the Mary Jane ones. I like all those.
Oh, those are really good too.
All right, my turn here. I have some older Thors. Thor number 234.
I love those old Thor
Very
covers.
Cool. Number 198. I don't know if any of these have any significance. I just grabbed them. Number 178. Some Thor goodness.
Yeah.
And then I got some in honor of Dollar Comics that are now canceled. Swamp Thing number 1.
Sweet.
And then I was able to get a Grail right here, and it was a really great price. You wouldn't believe how much I paid for this first appearance of Harley Quinn for $1.
What?
$1.
You got that for $1?
$1. First appearance. One of my Grails. Not bad at all, right?
Was that a dollar comic? Or
yeah, it's a dollar comic.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah. Well, you didn't see it? Look.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, you got the actual original.
First appearance of Harley Quinn for $1.
Can't
Personal
beat that.
Grail. Yeah, I might get slabbed, signed. I don't know. Pressed. A
little cleaning done on it.
Who knows? Okay, so we got our final 5. Let me collect my thoughts here. Once again, I want to say thank you to all our Patreons who are supporting the show, and I hope you really enjoyed this week's topic. We'll actually go through the Patrons here in a little bit. We have a little video that shows all the names, something I put together. Don't forget to check out Robbie's channel from Pop Culture Philosophers. Mm-hmm. He did the pick of the week in the video. He's going to be doing that from now on. And let's go ahead and switch over to Bob real fast. Like I said at the beginning, he hit 1,000 subscribers. Yeah. How does it feel to be in the 4 digits?
It feels good. You know, it was like, this thing hanging over me. And
yeah, God, I was getting annoyed by it.
Yeah, I know.
I was like 5 weeks in a row. Oh, he's so close.
I got so quickly up there, and then all of a sudden, boom, everything just stopped. But it's okay. So glad to be over 1,000. Again, thank you guys very much. I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing. I put out my Coffee and Comics video yesterday. And I'm actually going to put a second one out on Monday because there was just too many books to review. And then also I'm going to be doing a CGC unboxing here in the next couple of days, which I'm really excited, and a couple other boxes as well. So I got things in the works. And but anyway, thank you guys very much for supporting the channel, and it's just good to be here with you, man.
Awesome. Trying to get that watch time hours, huh?
Yes, I am.
Everybody forgets about the watch time hours.
I haven't. I'm close, actually.
Very cool. I also want to say real quick, like I said in the beginning, there are 25 Bueller boxes available right now. If you get one of the boxes, you have a 2 in 25 chance of getting one of these slabs. We got 2 of these. Here, you can hold that one and that one. So you got a 2 in 25 chance. In the boxes right now, the link is down below for my eBay. Guaranteed in every box, 2 number 1s, either DC or Marvel, 1 variant, either DC or Marvel, 2 indie books, including a number 1 indie book, so you can jump on a brand new story. Plus, there are bonus books in every box, so you get a total of like 14 books for like $14.
You can't beat that.
Yeah, so I was really happy to get those books from that LCS that's closing. They're only relocating. They're looking for a new spot. They're closing the door, but they're relocating, so they're not like going away. Yeah. But they definitely didn't have a problem getting rid of their book, so that was kind of cool.
That's awesome stuff.
Very much so. All right, everybody, that's all I got for you. This has been a great show. I'm looking forward to next week. There is no top 10 video tomorrow because there's like 2 or 3 books coming out, so there's not enough to do a top 10. There's no Marvel or DC books coming out this week at all. Just Image and some other independent publishers. That's it. But that Negan Lewis looks pretty good, and Olympia number 5. Those are the 2 I would pick up. If you haven't picked those up, get those 2. I don't know about the Negan one, but I'm assuming it's going to be good. But Olympia is one of my favorite books.
Me too.
And this is the conclusion, I believe, to the series.
Should be a double-size issue.
Yeah, it's double-size. So definitely got to pick those up. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You know what to do. We'll see you next week. Bye.
What was that, man?